Hi Taurus! Hi! Welcome back to my channel. Sorry. I feel like I've just been talking to myself for the past hour. The things that happen to me when I close my eyes to meditate sometimes. It goes both ways. I'm either completely blank for the duration of my meditation and then will come out of that trance once, the right thought is projected onto me, or I just become bombarded with so much, and typically I can stay in that state for a while before I receive a form of clarity that says, okay, now we can start to draw some cards, in your case for Taurus. So how's everyone been? Also, welcome. This is your May 2017 tarot reading. My name is JJ for all my new viewers. If you've just stumbled upon this video and you're like, who the hell is this crazy girl and what is she on about? Yeah. I'm not crazy, just a bit weird. I've had a tough month. Past month has been weird. I will come back with an update on a separate note about that. Taurus, May. To be honest, it doesn't seem like, I don't get the impression, ooh, this flipped, and so did this. Okay, cool. I don't get the impression that something too nuts is happening at all this month for you guys. Quite the contrary. I feel like you are having you will have a solid month. You come into May feeling grounded, more than usual. And on the one hand, this might bring comfort to some of you. On the other hand, this will make others of you feel very uneasy, and here's why. Generally speaking, being a very grounded earth sign like yourself, you like to see stability. You like to see comfort in the stability and knowing how it is you're going to lead your week, or it's nice to know what to expect, in other words. So when you're having a rather stable cycle, then there's not much to worry about. However, this can be boring for some, and that is what I mean ultimately by feeling some form of dis-ease, or just to feel uneasy one way or another, because you want to break out of routine, you want to break out of stagnation, you don't want to feel like you've come to a point where you can no longer grow or evolve. And this can be applied to your relationships, to your career, perhaps to your money and how much money you are able to make. This form of stagnation can also be imposed when you've been exceeding your limits and your potential. We all have limitations, and if we go overboard, i.e., if we party too much, or if we work too much, then we will burn out, and you will be asked to take a break from any stressors that will prevent you from accelerating into the next phase of your life. That's quite a lot to absorb, actually, you guys. So sometimes the universe slows things down for us because it needs us to decompress. This can be boring, yes. But it should also be perceived as another form of challenge. Just because something is causing us to hunker down, to be more silent, to be more observant, rather like passive more than active, taps into other cognitive abilities. So here, rather than give, you need to receive. Rather than share your thoughts or opinions with others in order to stimulate a conversation, it might be more fruitful for you to just observe the likes of others around you, to learn from those people's interaction with environment. Do any Taurians who are watching this video appreciate people watching? Because this is a good month for it. At least that's the feeling that I'm starting to get, where you can ease that sense of stagnation and boredom. Because let's say maybe not much is happening for you right now. By observing others around you, by doing that people watching, learn by proxy of your environment without necessarily playing a hand. So it's interesting, and I want to talk a little bit about physics very, very briefly. I mean, like, as in, like, we're not even going to touch the tip of the iceberg, not even. But a concept that some of you may have already been made aware of through certain literature or videos or documentaries that you watch, and that is the simple notion that by mere observation, we alter what it is that we are observing in that moment. Even if the thing that we are looking at appears to be lifeless, it functions now in a slightly different manner because you've made its existence in your environment different by implying that it has presence. That is a loaded statement. I'm sorry, you guys, but I think that the point has been brought across one way or another, that passive observation can be as powerful as being active in times, and depending on your strengths and your weaknesses, this can be either a challenge or a walk in the park for you. Much like what this Page of Pentacles does here, she observes her element. She observes it, she studies it, before she decides to do anything with it. The Page of Pentacles is energy that any earth sign can live out a lot easier than a fellow air sign or a fire sign can. Because you have the patience to go through things in steps and stages before you make a move. Typically, without breaking things down to simplify it, to understand it and grasp it. So to look at it from a distance in order to feel more comfortable bringing it into your thought, into your imagination, into your to-do list. The more you observe, the more you will be able to make sense of what you need to break out of this stagnant energy that doesn't seem to be going forward, but you want to go forward. And that is where this tug of war begins. It's a tug of war between yourself and the environment around you. You may want to force a change upon your life right now. You may be craving meeting new people or being introduced to new situations that will make you feel like you're living life again, right? You really want to trigger this Wheel of Fortune. It's been suggested for a while now. However, you haven't been able to figure out exactly what it is that you need in order to allow the wheel to turn that way. And or at least through looking at these cards, I gained the understanding that this Ace of Swords, which usually or typically it delineates that we need to eliminate either something that's holding us back, or we need to charge forward into, charge forward in a territory again that we haven't truly established full comfort with. You are not masters of this realm that we're talking about right now. This triggers the Hermit in preparation for this Wheel of Fortune, which is interesting because not that you can see this. Okay. Can you see this? Okay. The Hermit actually comes out after the Wheel of Fortune. The Hermit is looking at this Wheel of Fortune. So when you think you are charging forward, progressing forward, you're taking leaps and bounds. You're reaching places in your head, I think kind of like I was when I was meditating earlier. You're reaching arenas in your mind that can be rather disturbing, where you need to slow things down if they aren't already being slowed down for you in order to appreciate them from this very novel and rather immature perspective. Not immature in the sense that you don't know what you're doing, no. Immature in the sense that you haven't stayed in this way of thinking, being, or living long enough for you to be comfortable with it. Here, okay, with this Hermit card, you are being asked to sit with yourself. Sit with yourself and your thoughts and your resources alone, without gathering the opinion of others around you, in order to come to your own conclusions, your own pace. Listen to that, your own pace, because that is what's ringing in my mind now. To configure the right motion for you. So you've been wanting to move forward a bit too fast because things in your environment have been slowing down inevitably, and you're just like, well, what's happening? I want new things to come in. It's triggering a lot of self-reflection, like, did I do this to myself? Have I, what have I been working towards? In other words, have I been working towards my success? And there's a sense of panic here that maybe you haven't been. Maybe you haven't been charging forward fast enough. Maybe you haven't been as assertive, authoritative, or authoritarian actually. So assertive and authoritarian, like this Emperor. Maybe some of you are wondering if you have embodied enough of this Emperor's vibe in order to get a head start. It's like you want to leapfrog into the future, even though you're not quite ready enough. Taurus. So the Hermit urges you to reflect on the right pace for you, neither too fast nor too slow. Slow enough so that you can appreciate the intricacies, but fast enough so that you don't feel like you even have enough time to sit, think, and regret about anything you've done in the past, because you don't want to lock yourself up in that energy. You don't want to lock yourself up in a really horrible, vicious cycle that makes you think about the past few years, how you've been spending them, what you've been working on, and whether or not it's all meant to be for, whether or not you've been wasting your time. There are two sides to the Wheel of Fortune. There is the side that urges us to move forward and leave behind the past, and the side that urges us to confront certain elements of the past. The wheel will never turn in your favor unless you acknowledge karma that is existing within you and karma that needs to be dealt with. In combination with this Hermit card, so with the Hermit card, your need to reflect, your need to be a bit more pushy, again, to be a bit more assertive even in your own life, to charge forward like this Emperor does, can cause you to become judgmental, not towards others, but judgmental to yourself, in order to figure out what it is that you can improve. Now, you see, the thing is, though, that if you do this too much, if you force an energy that you are not used to, i.e., okay, then you will end up panicking. If you already thought that you panicked before, think again, because applying that sort of pressure on yourself leads to a lot of mistakes. It can lead to that regret, the very same regret that you're trying to avoid, the very same regret that comes to mind when you invoke this Seven of Pentacles. Oh dear. Two of Cups. Just saying. Okay, so the crick in my neck. It's horrible. So I get this vibe from the cards as well, that some of you are just really simply sick and tired of not finding the right person for you, that this stagnation could be less about, let's say, your work and your career. That in and of itself can be stable. That can be the factor, the calming factor that is very reassuring in your life right now, that you have a stable job, your income is okay, you don't have to be a millionaire or exceptionally wealthy or anything, but you're comfortable enough, that being the stable factor that doesn't really need to change in your life. However, it may also be the factor that's prevented you from achieving success in your relationship. And I'm not saying that you've been doing anything wrong. Who the hell am I to say something like that? So I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I'll just give you an example, okay? I have a Taurus friend who happens to be cabin crew. Anyone who's cabin crew, regardless of their sign, right? Extra cards, okay. Anyone who's cabin crew, regardless of their sign, is going to start appreciating life very, very differently. Why? Because cabin crew lacks sleep and lacks having any control over their schedule. In fact, a lot of cabin crew aren't always notified of their flights well enough in advance in order for them to really plan out everything else that they want to do. Now, Taurus, again, you appreciate stability. You appreciate stability and knowing how it is your weeks are going to evolve into. But some of you may have this passion, like you have a passion to fly. You have a passion to be of service to others. So how do you bring those two together? How do you make your life work efficiently for you, comfortable for you, without losing the ability to also connect and interact with other people in your own space and in your own comfort zone, okay? Outside of work, outside of that tension, in a way that a Taurus would like, over dinner, over wine, over a good time, in the comfort of your own home, or in the comfort of the home of another, where you can just spend hours on end talking, not having to worry about the fact that you need to get enough sleep to be alert for the daily grind, right? So this discomfort can be over not finding the right one, wondering what it is that you can change, perhaps wondering if you need to be more assertive with the people that you meet, potential interests that have been creeping up in your environment, perhaps. You know, you could have eye candy while you people watch. Maybe if you have like a specific spot that you like to go to in a park where you sit, people watch for an hour or two a day. Maybe it's an hour or two across the week. And every time you do that, you might notice that friendly boy or girl that passes by that you now recognize from your own private sessions of people watching, and you may have like caught onto this eye candy. It could be someone that you see rather regularly, not even as you people watch, but just someone that seems to be popping up in places that you go to, and you wonder to yourself, hey, who is this person, and should I approach them? But that's not very characteristic of me. People usually approach me. It's not the other way around. And so you're wondering if you should change up how it is that you interact with people. You don't want to have any regrets, though. No regrets. Some of you might be dealing with an air sign and are feeling still rather bitter about how things ended up with this air sign. So it could be someone that you no longer really talk to anymore, but they were a very important part of your life, or an important part of your planning, and things may have ended up rather disappointingly for you, also for them. So it might be difficult at this time to even see yourself being with someone, despite you wanting to perhaps meet potential love interests and to actually do something about it. It's taking a long time for you to get over and I keep wanting to say earth sign, but I mean air sign, or someone who is exhibiting patterns like an air sign. This feeling of really just wanting to get things together is there, it's present, and it's affecting you, but you just don't simply, until you let go of what it is that is causing you to reel and brood from the inside, this judgment, which has a lot to do with you wondering if you've been spending your time the right way, your desire to speed things up. But again, with this Five of Swords, I would be worried to do that. I wouldn't want you to hurry into something that you're not prepared enough to do, simply because you feel like time is rushing by while you are standing still. As anxiety-provoking as that may be, you need to figure out your own pace at life. So this Wheel of Fortune is being stumped, halted, stunted. In part due to this karmic event. Self-criticism, self-judgment on a very private level. And what will help, though, honestly, before it gets too bad, is to say it out loud. Share it. Not with someone that you know, perhaps, but with a random stranger, if you wanted to. Putting it out there, perhaps admitting something that you've been holding on to for a very, very long time, might be enough to set it free that way. That is what this Ace of Swords is talking about at the end of the day. We need to cut something out in order for us to really get this Wheel of Fortune turning. I get this image in my head, and it's a bit funny, right? I have this image in my head of like someone standing there with their sword, and they're poking the wheel. They're poking the wheel because they want it to work, but they don't realize that they're stalling it. They are stalling it from turning, because the blade, the sword's blade, interrupts the natural flow of the wheel. So you're going about, or had been going about, this whole Ace of Swords energy incorrectly in the past. Which is why now the Hermit says, the Hermit allows us to feel a lot of uncomfortable feelings that we need to face and confront on our own, again, on our own, without the opinions and or judgments of others, because it's enough. It is absolutely enough to face this judgment card on your own, right? You don't need someone to come and tell you that you've been dealing with things in a wrong way. You might already know this yourself. But until you are ready to admit it out loud to yourself, or perhaps to a stranger, okay, someone who you really have no idea about and they have nothing to do with you, might be enough to trigger this release that will get things going for you. Perhaps it might have something to do again with an air sign who's made you feel uncomfortable in the past, uncomfortable with yourself and uncomfortable with your own evolution within a relationship, triggering all sorts of self-doubt, like whether or not you're even worth being in a relationship with. But you are so worth it. You are worth it, just like the next person is worth it. We're going through, as I record this, a Cancer moon, okay? A moon in Cancer that is just absolutely debilitating for some people. It really does trigger a lot of harsh emotions and makes us pretty much want to hide in a corner or sleep for hours on end and never have to wake up. It can be that traumatic. And here in your reading, I don't just see the Hermit, but I also see this Four of Swords, which to me personally is the closest thing to the Hermit when I don't have the Hermit. And here we have both. But thankfully, the Four of Swords is less imposing. I love this filter. Come back, birdie. Sorry. So the Four of Swords is less imposing than the Hermit. It is a very toned down version of the Hermit. And this time around, once you get to this stage, okay, once you get to this state of truly appreciating that you are worth loving. Doesn't matter what this person said, okay? You are worth it, or what they did. They may have not said something, they may have done something, like just decided to stop talking to you, they've decided to stop prioritizing you, whatever it is, right? Regardless of your history, that will... Ooh, I wonder who that is. Regardless of your history, that will interrupt the flow of moving forward. You will come to a greater appreciation and understanding of yourself through being a passive observer. Do not force any activity upon yourself right now. Take some time off. Take some time off and realize that while it may be daunting at first and really problematic, and it will bring up a lot of sore feelings, especially now, just the beginning of May, right? The beginning of May. It's going to bring up some pretty sore feelings. You will start to feel empowered, perhaps around the full moon in Scorpio, and gain a more in-depth, newfound understanding of and appreciation for all the hurts that your past has to teach you, and that will be the releasing factor for you. But we need to work our way slowly up to that point, and there is absolutely no sense in hiding any discomfort to yourself. And while you may feel like you have, let's say, too much pride to go up to key person or closer people to you, members of your family or friends, no one is saying that you have to do that. But it helps to talk to someone, anyone, right? And it doesn't have to be someone who knows you. Maybe the key is to go up to a complete stranger who will not judge you, just to take a load off, just to feel like you have that control, because this person can't do anything to you. To break this illusions that you may be experiencing, you need to calm down your mind that way, and come to find that this self-reflective state, a toned down version of the Hermit, will be one way that you truly achieve clarity. And instead of stalling the wheel, you will put down that sword. You will put down that sword, lay down to rest, use it for other purposes. I love this sword. To me, this sword is magical in the tarot. And anyone who is graced with this sword can use it to their advantage. If things are just feeling a bit tough right now, for whatever reason, towards the end of the month you'll start to feel better. Things will get clearer. But you have to go through the pain sometimes, right? Before you start. It's like you have to enter the eye of the storm before things calm down again. So, Taurus, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Thank you for being here. Like this video if you liked it, that is. And I will come back. I'll come back shortly with an update, a more personal update in the next few days. So, about how things are changing slightly, ever so slightly. How it will not affect these readings in any way, though I will be back with your reading next month for sure. So, you guys have an awesome May. Love you. Take care.